Welcome in, guys. Welcome to the live feed. As you can tell, my audio, my video, they never come in sync. Even though this guy is plugged in right directly into this box and my video is coming out of this box, they aren't encoded together. So we're having to purchase a VidiU box, and we're hoping that that thing will encode video, and live audio all into one stream, so then there isn't the delay. I think that I have this Godzilla Japanese production going on here where they subtitle English over it, or overspeak. JB Weld Super Glue. I actually tried Super Glue on it, man, and it did not hold. Most likely it was a user error on applying the Super Glue, but, you know, it is what it is. But let's get started, guys. Welcome to PhotoPills Free Webinar Week. My last little drink of water, and we are going to be over here on the iPad. You're not going to see a lot of me, but you guys are going to be okay with that. Not seeing a lot. So here is the 7 things so that you guys are aware. You're watching this video in a replay, or you're watching right now and you're thinking, I only have 20 minutes. Tell Aaron I want to hear this one before I go. I'm going to start out with the moon pill, then the planner, then the AR modes. The squares are buttons. It sounds like a Jeopardy themes. Squares are buttons. I don't know why I put in a fake, slightly British accent right there. But next one will be pin-to-pin, geodetic info, find tool, and spot stars. Spot stars. So these are the 7 favorite things, but I am willing to talk about absolutely anything you guys want. Rob Ryan will help me know that you guys asked the question if chat gets going too fast and I can't tell that you asked that, and it scrolls past your guys' chat. So just make sure you let me know, and Rob, make sure you let me know. And if Dean shows up, he's another one of our moderators. So let's talk about these things: the moon pill, the planner, AR modes, squares or buttons, all in the first 20 minutes. And then the rest of the time, 40 minutes, can be spent talking about these two, because these are crazy to explain and really, really useful features in PhotoPills. And with spot stars, it's very simple, and anyone who wants to ask questions will also take anything on before 4 o'clock. So let's get rolling. Let's start off with the moon pill. Open up PhotoPills. If anything happens with my audio, or I start talking away from the mic too much, I'm kind of out here, or I come in too far and I'm like screaming in your ear, make a comment, throw it at me. I'm willing to take it. The criticism is accepted. So when you open up your PhotoPills app and you see all these different squares, these are what they call pills. So if you hear Raphael talk about the moon pill, he's meaning this. And if he's talking about exposure pill, the depth of field pill, all of these are pills. Now things like night AR, they are going to be throughout the rest of the apps. You'll see AR modes, and we're going to talk about that in full. So let's start off with the moon, and let's go quickly through it. I am showing it to you on an iPad app. What you see in the iPhone is basically, you can't tell what I'm doing, but I'm saying that it'll be half of the screen. Right where that circle's in the top, where it says new moon, you see that line going down, that vertical line? Imagine this over all on your mobile device, and then the part that's this information on the right is underneath it. And so it's one big, long vertical column on your mobile phone. Not much different. It's not too scary, but on the iPad, it's nice how we can see everything all at once, and hopefully nice and clear on your end. So why do I love the moon pill, and why do I put that first? Well, I'm a Milky Way photographer first and foremost, and so I want to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go out. If you guys have already seen my PhotoPills video on how to use it for planning Milky Way photography, this will a lot of be a rerun. And if you haven't seen it, well, just go ahead and watch it afterwards, because I'm not going to cover everything. Excuse me. So here we go. If we look at what's coming up, in fact, let's do it this way. When is the next Milky Way? Sometime in January, maybe we'll see the Milky Way again. Oh yeah, I'm seeing it there, going back. Now this is saying Escalante, United States. That's the area that it's considering. I keep hitting this button on the top left to change the days, and I'm back to January 13th. So in Escalante, the first time it'll see the moon, or the Milky Way core, will be on January 16th. And you can see it right here quickly in the moon pill, which is why I love it so much, is that you get this graphic at the top left that shows you the Milky Way, those two right at the edge of that line. That's the galactic center visibility starts. Here's the galactic center visibility ends. And how's it going? Well, the moon doesn't rise until 7:17, so that means the Milky Way core, for those 2 minutes that it's on 0.2 degree elevation height, Whew, that is not high enough. Those 2 minutes will be safe. So really, January 16th is a very, very tough day to see it. And in fact, all of January is a very, very tough time to see the Milky Way core. But we'll be able to see it, and it'll be awesome. I think right about here is when I'll see it, January 26th, because the moon has set at 2:24 a.m., and then at 5:27 a.m., visibility starts. And it'll go for another half an hour before it, is being blocked out by the astronomical twilight period. Having started it for dawn, it'll be blocking out and washing out that Milky Way core. And 5.2 degrees, that's a significant height. And for most mountain ranges, depending on how close you are to them, you can usually see. They say, maybe I shouldn't say this because I can't quote it correctly, but if you have fists, they're about every 5 degrees. So if you hold your fist out on the horizon and you have a fist out, that's 5 degrees up and 5'10" or something like that. I think it is 5. The thing is, I might be quoting that wrong. But just know that I have seen the Milky Way core when it says it's 5 degrees up high in the sky in late October. And so I'm pretty confident that I could see that one in most situations outside of being next to my Wasatch Front here in Utah. So the moon app, it's awesome. Quickly you can see what's going on. I can go to a calendar and see quickly, okay, when are the new moons? I mean, it's obvious. These black circles are the new moon. I go to the new moon in May. All right, what's going on? Well, that night, 4:33 in the morning, actually, that morning of the 14th of May, the Galactic Center is visible. Let me just rewind. The Galactic Center visibility will end at 4:33 a.m. Then the moon will rise and the sunrise. And so it looks at this, and just know, whenever it says the visibility ends, it's either because the galactic core has set, or it's because astronomical twilight in the beginning of the night or at the end of the night has, got in the way. So if it says that galactic center visibility ends at 4:33 a.m., that's saying, okay, astronomical twilight has begun, and that's why it's blocking it from being seen. And when you see it in the evening, galactic center visibility starts at 11:18 p.m. in May. That could either mean that it's risen. Well, it says actually right here, elevation, rise. It's right at the rise. So this is when it rises over the horizon. That's not astronomical twilight. So you can see quickly what happens with the moon, the Milky Way, and the sunset, sunrise, and just see the 24-hour period of that day. Let's see, May 15th. 4:32, galactic center visibility starts, boom, boom, boom. If we want to jump ahead and go to a month where it doesn't actually rise, what's it say in that month? Let's go to the 11th of September. Let's see. Galactic center visibility starts at 9:10. It doesn't say elevation rise. It says the elevation that it starts having visibility is 20 degrees. So you figure that means it's already up in the air. It's not rising at that point. 9:10 p.m. is just the point that it becomes full darkness. And so that's it. Are we on? I mean, is it on? Hey, Ro. Welcome back, man. So this is the moon pill. This is number 1. This is a very simple pill. I love it, and you can get a lot more information about how to use it for the Milky Way in my video on YouTube. So then we go to PhotoPills number 2, which is the planner. And I'm going, I turned off gestures because of my daughter. So let me turn gestures back on because it'll be hard for me to zip around quickly without doing gestures. So I'll show you guys my face while we are doing this. Hey guys, hey Ro, welcome to joining us. So gestures, multitasking in dock. Gestures are turned on now. Awesome. So now I can zip around between PhotoPills and everything. So now I'll bring you guys back to my screen. So the planner. The planner is my second favorite, and that's just obvious. That's everyone's first 3 favorite features of this device, this app. It's on. Had to refresh. Oh, that's too bad, Ro. I'm sorry. It's a real pain in the butt sometimes when people are sitting there and it says, remind me, and then it doesn't do anything until you refresh. Why does YouTube do that? I have no idea. At least this will be available free. You can watch the beginning that you missed. Don't worry. So here we go. In the planner, this is iPad version. You're going to see everything that's over here on the right. All of that is going to be on the top of your map in your mobile phone. So if you're looking at your mobile phone right now, it's probably where you're seeing all these features. Just know that the planner is whatever point you are putting that red pin, and then it's giving you data down here based on that pin. All the data on the right is based on where you put that pin. So if I'm over here in Mauritania, it's going to tell me basically everything according to that location on the planet Earth. And so this color change from light blue on the bottom on this time slider, it's going to be like, oh, look at that. Isn't that crazy? Look how high up it gets at the equator. That's something I don't understand enough. I haven't been there before. So anyway, that's just the moon height, moon and sun height. In this situation, it's going light blue, and it's starting to hit sunset. This is golden hour. You can see it by this big orange band. And golden hour starts going into the twilight periods. And you can see that here by the blue bands of, civil twilight, nautical twilight, astronomical twilight, and then full darkness all the way until the morning when the twilight periods start again in reverse. Astronomical to nautical to civil to sunrise and golden hour. So this is the planner. This is awesome. This thing is crazy powerful. It took me forever to understand that, I wanted to take a picture over here at Dead Horse Point of the Milky Way, and I was wondering, well, can it even work? Does Dead Horse Point work? Well, if I can go out to this point and park, my camera can say be here. Well, where's the Milky Way compared to me and this location? Well, right now it's August 8th, 2021. That just so happens to be the date that I'm on right now. If I wanted to see the Milky Way and see Dead Horse Point at the same time, see this Dead Horse Point right here, if I want to see these things at the same time in the same frame, I can find out in Planner because it gives me this nice line that shows me exactly the angle I need to be looking, or azimuth that I need to be looking to see the Milky Way. Hey George, welcome. Glad to have you on here, man. So in the planner, we can use it to quickly see where the Milky Way core is going to be when you're considering it for Milky Way photography. If you're just trying to find out where I should be for the sunrise, it's going to tell you right here, okay, this is the point of moonrise, and I'm going to double tap. If I double tap in this time slider on the right, it takes me back an hour. If I single tap, it takes me forward to the next significant, milestone in the evening. So let's just go to the middle of the night. I want to go towards the sunrise, and I tap this far right rectangle over here by the 8821, but don't tap the date, because if you do that, nothing happens. It only happens when you hit the clock in the middle where you can change the date there. So say you're in the middle of the night and you tap that blue square over there, it takes you to the next significant period, which is the beginning of astronomical twilight, then nautical twilight, then civil twilight, and then blue hour beginning, and then it tells you the moonrise in this case, because the moon has just risen at that minute. Sunrise, and now look at where my yellow pin is, my yellow line. That's where my sunrise is going to be. So if you're going to try and plan something specifically around the direction that the sun is, if you want the sun in frame, or to even know, hey, how's this going to affect the light on these rocks over here behind me? The sun's going to be directly perpendicular to them right here, okay? And you can know and plan things accordingly, knowing that the sun direction is over there and shining right at you towards your pin right there at that point. But then you also know that between then and the end of golden hour, look how far the sun has actually moved. And so you're going to get a lot of changes in that time. And if you frame it up on the sunrise, the golden hour light that hits the surface of your subject might end up being something that happens after the sun's moved in position. So say you wanted something in the middle of golden hour, you wanted to line the sun up in the frame of your shot on the left third, you would want to look at 6:49 a.m. Where do I need to make sure I'm framed? And okay, cool. You can even start to see the shadow line. See how the shadow line behind my pin changes as the sun gets higher in the sky? So it gives you a little idea of what's happening with your shadows. I don't know if you can see that black line showing up right there. I'll put this pin right in the dead center so you can see it about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on the ring right here. So it's getting larger. It starts out very long as it's early in the morning and then going up, so you can even see that. And you can plan around these features. Boom, that's the planner. Now this is part of the planner, and the part of the planner that I want to give you guys more information on and how to use the planner is coming up, which is why I'm busting through this right now as fast as I can. I'm gonna check my time, make sure things are going well. 3:15, awesome. So what is the next favorite? And don't worry, the planner, we're gonna come back to it. We're gonna talk more about it. AR modes. Now notice I say modes. It's not that there are multiple modes. There's really only three: moon, sun, I guess night and sun and moon. But they're just different depending on where you open them up. And so right inside here in the planner, you have two options. You have AR or night AR. So let's talk about their differences. Inside the planner, if you hit AR, and I'm going to show you my wall, it's going to give me let's see, I hit just AR. So it's going to show me the position of the moon, the position of, I'm seeing a lot of, this is the camera showing you, and so it's getting crazy distracting back there. So I'm going to lift it up more. So it's spinning right now, trying to get a calibration, basing on what's, guessing my angle that I'm holding it. Sometimes you hold it flat, and you kind of bring it up fast, and it'll find its orientation based on all of its gyroscope and things on the inside of the device. Or you can wave your device up in the air. Oh, this is really dizzying. Let me stop showing you. It's on my camera. Hold your device up and do a figure 8 pattern. Let me take this off for now. You do a figure 8 pattern and it'll orient your device. It's a calibration technique that Raphael showed us. Definitely easier to show it on a mobile device where you just hold your phone in your hand. Do a figure 8 for a little while. It's basically using the gyroscope and everything on the inside to recognize its orientation, position, and speed, and then it just kind of calibrates for it. And so I like to just hold my device flat and go up and make sure that it's working. And if it's not working, then I will do the figure 8. So that's the quick calibration to get your device recognizing what's going on in the AR modes. And just keep doing it if you feel like it's totally off. But mostly, you just need to get it close enough. All right, no questions yet. Awesome. So in my augmented reality app, what's it showing me? It's showing me the time in hours. Okay, stop moving on me for a second so I can slide this around. So in this AR mode, it lets me look around the sky. It's not letting me go forward much in time very quickly. Okay, that's when you can notice it most. You can notice how much it changes when you are right on top of the moon and the sun. So watch as I'm sliding. You can see how it's quickly moving them through there. So the AR mode's going to show both the sun and the moon. But then I also had the option for night AR when I was inside the planner. And by the way, here's the time that I've changed it to 12:18 at 11:46 p.m. I tap in the middle of the screen on one time. It's going to go forward a day. It's going to go backwards. Oh, you know what? I'm not showing you anymore. Sorry about that. And so now you're seeing what I'm seeing. In the top left, it says it's 12:18, 11:46 p.m. If I tap once on the right side of my screen, it's going to take it forward a day. I tap once on the left side, it's going to go back a couple days. I double tap anywhere, it takes me to right now. Right now. So then if you start sliding things around and moving it and you're no longer at the right time and it's not matching up, just double tap anywhere. And you're like, okay, that is 3:18, 12:18, 17. Okay, cool. So that is the augmented reality app in the day, the AR down here at the bottom. If you hit night AR, it'll include the moon, but mostly, we'll include the moon. It's actually not from here. From this AR, this night AR, it's only showing the Milky Way. And that's what you can tell by the Milky Way band. But it also shows the twilight period and the color. So as I slide through the time, that's full day. Well, that's actually full dark. Then it goes, that must have been full day. And I'm going backwards. That's why it seems weird. Going forward in the morning, astronomical twilight, nautical civil, and then sunrise. And then daytime. Daytime is represented by yellow. And then it goes from yellow to orange again, through the blue periods, and back to full darkness. And so in Milky Way mode, you're going to know where the Milky Way core is. And right now, the core, well, actually, that might not be right now. Double tap. Right now, oh, here. Depending on your device, you will get a calibration request. And so you can see this. I'm going to use my calibration with this pool. It's basically having you do the motions of the figure 8, but really tilting your device and getting that full calibration back, because I just really got it confused on which angle and everything I'm facing. That's where the Milky Way is right now, on my bookshelf. And it's right over here, and the moon's right on top of it, so it does show the moon like I thought, and it gives you the time periods that you can see, okay. The moon's there at 2, there at 3, there at 4, 5 setting, which is why we don't see the Milky Way right now, is because it is during the period where it's just only up during the daylight. And that's true for the southern hemisphere too. So in December, we don't see the Milky Way at all during the night. It doesn't happen. And calibrated. If it matters, the figure 8 has calibrated the most reliability for me. Viralis TV has a plug and an arrow. No idea what you're saying, man. And so welcome. If you're not advertising something, I have no idea what you're doing. Rob, keep an eye on that post. I have to see if they're saying anything. So right here, this is the Night AR, and you can go back. You can go into Night AR from the pill. You can be in the moon and see the AR based with the moon and considered only. And then you can go back, and in the sun pill, you can go AR and see where the sun is. And so this will give you information quickly for those. If you want to find sun information, go to the sun AR, night AR for the Milky Way, stuff like that. So that's the AR modes. Squares are buttons. Squares are buttons. And honestly, I loved this app, and I used it all the time before I even knew that most of these were squares. Most of these squares were actually buttons. So if you don't know that they're buttons right now, you're not alone. I didn't know for a whole year. And so I'm not ashamed to say that I had this app for a year and had no idea. So then you look at the planner app, and I'm going to show you this because these squares on the right side, or the squares that are above your mobile device, these are actually buttons. So the fact that we're seeing these orange and blue, yellow and blue lines, that's based on what we've chosen over here. This button that is visibility GC from to, if you notice it changing on my screen, that is a button. And if I tap right on top of it and I do this, this is just showing moon, night, no Milky Way whatsoever. I tap it, now it shows me the Milky Way. And if I tap it again, it's only showing the Milky Way and taking the sun and the moon away. So that's why it shows just the Milky Way, no yellow dot, no gray dot. I hit it again and everything goes black. It just shows me sunrise, moonrise, just depending on where I am with the day, where those triangles end up being. So this button, if you're not seeing the Milky Way, you're not seeing these dotted lines at night, it's probably because you bumped this button. So make sure you see not only the Milky Way symbol, but the yellow and gray dot. So that's a button. I had no idea. Here's the one I really, really love. Where are we at? We're at Dead Horse Point. So I'm here in the Milky Way season of 1216. You can see how there's no core above me. At night, there's still a Milky Way. There's always a Milky Way, but the part of the Milky Way that's so faint is the outer edges of the Milky Way. And so in this time of year, we only see the thinner outer edges of the Milky Way. We don't look towards the center of our Milky Way galaxy. We're not looking at that galactic core. So what happens if I hit this button over here where the Milky Way is? See this black circle with the Milky Way drawing? If I hit it once, what is it doing? What is it doing? I keep tapping it once and it's changing its direction. It's changing something, but what? If I double tap the clock at the bottom middle, it takes me back to right now. And so I'm going to move this towards nighttime so you can see this. And I'm going to hit that Milky Way button once. Okay, in this area where this pin is, this is the next time that you can see the Milky Way core. And that is January 16th, 2018. And so, okay, show me. When does it show up? It shows up later in the night, right in the morning. Oh, boom, there it is. Right at the morning, just before astronomical twilight, the Milky Way core shows up. And the visibility, you remember that button I showed you before, this guy? It actually has information right there on the panel and says the visibility of the galactic core is from 5:58 a.m. to 6:01 a.m. And it gives you an elevation at 0.4 degrees is where it gets to its most before it gets blocked out by astronomical twilight. So you can see real quickly when the next, well, let's just say it this way. It's the next new moon. I was saying the next situation, you can see the core of the Milky Way, but this is actually the next new moon. If I tap it again, the new moon in February is February 15th. The new moon in March is March 17th. The new moon in April is April 15th. So May 15th, the new moon, during our workshop down in Escalante, this is a week that we're going to be out there. And that got me really quick to May 15th just by tapping that Milky Way. And then I can see what's going on that night with the Milky Way. Okay, it becomes less visible there. So those of you who are joining us on the workshop in Escalante, it's going to be nice in May because the Milky Way becomes visible as early as 11:11, and then it goes on for several hours until 3-4 a.m. So we're going to have plenty of time in May. Those of you joining us in March will have plenty of time, but it starts so late in the morning, really late in the morning. So, good. You deleted the message, huh? All right, might as well. So no more questions. So this right here, all these buttons, they do something. And one we're going to talk about specifically today is this pin-to-pin geodetic info. We're going to go through that. And you can turn on the shadow. So remember how we were getting the shadow in the morning? I can turn that shadow on and off if I wanted to. That's what that top button is doing. And if I wanted to go back to right now, and then I wanted to see what was going on in previous new moons, I double tap quickly that Milky Way, and it goes back a month. Sweet. August, July. And so that's how I quickly will go through a month's time or a whole year's time of seeing what the Milky Way is doing, is by using that button. I had no idea you could tap that. I had no clue whatsoever. You see the blue bars next to it on the side? Say I change this date. Let's just go back to a couple weeks before where it's full moon. See how those blue bars next to that Milky Way graphic go down? They're basically well, I don't know how many numbers there are. Maybe that's 10 bars. It's a 0 out of 10 scale of how great of a night you'll have because of moon getting in the way. So if you have a full moon, that is going to be 0. So now it's saying full moon is right around the July 11th date of 2017 because we have 0 opportunity to see the Milky Way great without the moon in the way. And as you go closer and closer to new moon, we get more and more of those blue bars, more and more, more and more. I'm just sliding the time slider to get closer. And if I tap this, it goes to the next new moon, which is fully complete. All of those blue bars are in there. So if you ever wondered why those bars are there and why when you tap it and double tap it, they're always full, it's because it's just saying, hey, on new moon, it's the best opportunity of a night. And that's something I've been wanting to teach a lot, is that, look, right here, it's August 10th, and it's probably really close to a new moon or a full moon, and yet it has 1 bar. Why does it say that? Well, look, right here, the Milky Way is visible for many, many, many hours. What's the deal? Well, look at that blue line. See that blue line when the moon comes up? It's visible. Let me turn off that pin-to-pin geodetic info. Turn off the shadow. You can see how, boom, it has some periods of time when the Milky Way is visible, full darkness, but no moon. And then that blue line shows up showing that the moon has risen at that exact minute. So that's how I can use this information. But I got all that information in the moon pill anyway. It's just also represented here in other means through different modules inside the planner pill. It's a crazy set of terminology that you have to know. But that is all these cool buttons. Really quick, how awesome they are that you have buttons. So now we're going to do pin-to-pin geodetic info. Unless you guys have any questions about that, let's get rolling on pin-to-pin, because I'm taking 8 minutes longer than I was hoping to get to this point. So, pin-to-pin geodetic info. In essence, let me explain it real quick. I'm going to add another page right here. And imagine that here is, let's go do a red. Let's do a red pin, because that's where you put the pin down. Here's a red pin, and you put it down here in this area. And that's basically where you're saying, hey, Aaron King is going to stand there. I'm going to stand here where this pin is, and I'm going to look this direction. Here's where the Milky Way is. And between me and that Milky Way is a mountain. Will that Milky Way be blocked by the mountain? If I didn't know the area well enough, if I've never been there and I want to see this information, I can quickly find out whether or not it is using pin-to-pin geodetic info. So black is the color of the pin-to-pin geodetic info. And so imagine if we go into the PhotoPills app, well, actually I'll go back right here. I put the pin at the very top of this mountain. I put my black pin here, and then there's this dotted line between me and the pin location. And all of that is represented face down, looking straight down at the map. And I wanted to make sense of it with this graphic, and we'll come back to it. So here, let's go back to where Brendan and I began. Our very, very first Milky Way was out by Strawberry Reservoir. And we drove to this point, went up this road until we could no longer go because it just seemed, it's just going to get too close to these houses. The road was covered in snow. Let's just stand here and hold my finger as still as I can. If I'm pushing down and moving, the pin will not move. And now the pin will hold itself really easy where you just pick it up and move it around. See how it's kind of floating? You can't see my finger, but my finger is a little bit below it. Once you pick up your pin and start moving it around, PhotoPills will elevate that pin a little further than your finger so that you can see exactly where to put down the pin. Because you want to put it down, okay, right there. That's exactly where you're going to put the pin, and that's where you're going to make sure that that's the location you're saying I'm standing in. So if I go forward, let's go to the new moon in February. Oh, March. Let's go March. Just tap in that Milky Way button. March of 2018. So imagine this is March of 2016, and Brendan and I are going out for the very first time to do the Milky Way out in this area. Well, where's the Milky Way core? And this is where I said that we're going to have a lot more planner information because this is how else I use it. When the Milky Way core rises, right about here, the moment that it's visible, what's it saying on its visibility? Risen, and then it gets as high as 18.1 degrees. So 18.1 degrees. Well, if I look out here, I have mountains. How high are these mountains? Will they block my view of the Milky Way? The more you know your area, the easier to pick which peak to put the geodetic pin on. Because as soon as I hit that geodetic pin button right here, I am given a dotted line to a black pin. And between me and that black pin, it's going to tell me precisely degrees that where the GPS coordinates of where I put that pin, the altitude of where that pin is at, and the difference between it and the red dot. If I wanted to see that easier, I click on the horizon button, and it shows me the pin-to-pin information here, but with the horizon tool. And so I'm going to move this blue pin around. I'm going to go here. And you kind of get a representation over there at the top about what's changing. It's showing that I'm actually gone down in height. What if I bring it up to a high point? High point, negative 525. So this is still higher. Horizon, negative. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. The height above the horizon where I'm standing is negative 512. I keep moving this pin around. The theoretical distance visibility is 4.9 kilometers. Actually, I'm showing you the horizon pin, and I'm not liking it as much as Geodetic, so let me just cancel back out of there. The thing with the horizon pin is it's telling me in a negative number, even though it's higher than me. I'm almost at water level, and then I point up over here. It's showing me in a negative difference. So like the difference between you and your new location is this. It uses it in a negative number when it goes up higher than where I'm at. So altitude here is 2629. Altitude where my red pin in is 2374. So it's 255 meters of difference. And it gives me the subtraction is like, okay, from your horizon to you, it's negative 255 meters. So it's a little bit more confusing to say it that way. So I just want to keep it on the pin-to-pin geodetic info inside the planner. But so you know, in my graphic, the red pin right here is where I'm standing. And then from the point where I put my black pin right here is saying what? How many degrees difference? What's the altitude? Let's move it to a high point. Something like over here. You can see that it has some height. If I want to change my map, go into your bottom shelf down here. This is a shelf where you can change your quick button. And I happen to be on the map one already. So I'm going to use map. I'm going to change it to open cycle map landscape because it has somewhat of a topographical map. And inside this topographical map, I can find peaks and know exactly where I should consider a high point. So I'm going to move my pin over to this high point. It shows shadows for me. It shows the topographical swirls, and if anything was a complete peak, it would be a complete circle at it, you know, like right here. Here's a circle where it's at its highest at that point. So knowing my mountain is critical for using this, but let's pretend like this is absolutely the mountain that's going to be the ridge that blocks the Milky Way core. Well, what information do I know about it versus where I'm standing? This is 2 degrees high, and the difference is 472 meters. The Milky Way core is rising, and at one point it will be as low as 0 degrees, and then it becomes to the point where it's higher than 2 degrees and goes all the way up to 18 degrees. You probably noticed that it had a dotted line. The cool thing about it is once your pin-to-pin geodetic info is active, you will get, based on knowing that you want the Milky Way core to be visible, it's going to tell you, hey, you know what? This right here is going to be below the 2 degrees. I don't even have to know at what point it changes from here to here. Like, I don't have to know off the top of my head, okay, what degree elevation is that? Over on the Milky Way button, right here where you see the Milky Way picture, it's showing you the current elevation based on your time. See how the numbers change? So I could verify by looking there and say, okay, at what point is 2 degrees? And 2 degrees is here. The galactic center elevation is 2 degrees. And it's saying that all the way down here it'll be visible. When it was back here, it was not. So it's showing that right here at 2.1, it's above the degree height that this peak is from my position. And if I was worried about that mountain being between me and the Milky Way and blocking the core, as of 3:30 a.m. until dawn, there's no chance of it blocking me. It is many, many, many degrees up. So let's try this again. What if you go to Bryce Canyon? Bryce Canyon, really, really cool place, really awesome terrain. But when you go down in there, you go into this canyon, you're into a spot that, I'm in Zion right there. If you end up in a spot where you are going to be blocking your view of the Milky Way at some point. So if I were to hike down Sunset, waiting for my internet to load this map, if I were to go down Sunset and end up at a really cool spot in Bryce Canyon, if I change my map to a hybrid so I can see Bryce Canyon, Bryce Point, Inspiration Point, Brendan and I hiked down from Sunset and went over to Peekaboo Trail, and that is Peekaboo Canyon's right here. And oh yeah, we hiked all the way up this, up around there, roughly till about here. Yep, that's actually right there is where Brendan slept. So let's put the pin. That's where Brendan slept. Let's move our map back to the Open Cycle Classic map, and I can see my topographical points of where it changes on me. Well, this is actually even tougher in this case. It's not showing all the rock formations in Bryce, and so it's not giving enough information. So I am going to put my pin to pin. If you tap your pin to pin geodetic info again on a new location, it'll reset it to have your black pin reachable. And let's just put it on the height of, here's where the Milky Way rises in October, August. Let's do Perseids. So let's go to a new moon in August. And that's also where it puts the Milky Way between us and this ridge. And so at this ridge, it's a difference of 152 meters, 7.9 degrees. I'm already seeing the Milky Way galactic center as not being a dotted line. Does it ever become a dotted line? It actually will set before it becomes a dotted line. So I can see the Milky Way core all throughout the night from this position. What if I move my pin, but I keep my geodetic pin? Now I'm 0 meters above the horizon because I'm so down low. How much of my Milky Way is visible? Let's let it load. Load, it's visible, it's visible, it's visible. Even that far away, I could see it. So the degree difference of the Milky Way, it's as high as 1.3 degrees at that point and setting. It sets long before the night is done. And so at that point is when you won't see it. It's not because of my ridge. It's not because of this ridge being in the way. Let's put it along the line. Oh, okay. So see, I move it across that line and it puts into consideration that specific ridge versus the one way out here. And we have just a little bit of a difference of height. And now it's 12.6 degrees high, and anything below that is going to be blocking my Milky Way. And I get a dotted line to show me that. So that Milky Way core, it's last visible at this point when it's 6.9. And why is it visible over there? Just because my pin isn't over there and because it hasn't calculated what that area is. That's still 12. So let's go back. How about we move my pin here? 13. So it's showing me right around that pin. It knows the elevation, it knows that it's being blocked. And so one thing that I need to point out that isn't consistent is right here as it moves across, it doesn't know this area right there. But we have already tested it where it actually isn't visible throughout all of that edge, all the way till setting. And so you have to move your geodetic pin around to test the area right around it. This is 11.3 degrees high, but the Milky Way core is 17 degrees high still, and until about 11.1. Move my pin over there. Yep, it adjusts, and it's like, yep, yeah, that's be blocked. And so you move your geodetic pin around, and you can see quickly when's it going to stop being visible. And so even though the Milky Way sets that night a couple hours later, 12:43 a.m. to about 2:15, so about an hour and a half later, there's going to be no Milky Way core to see anyway from this location on the trail down here. I'm going to be blocking the Milky Way just by sheer looking up and having a hill, a cliffside blocking my view. Well, late for the live stream because of a final project, but let's see what's left. Hey, chicken. Welcome, man. We are talking about pin-to-pin geodetic info, and what is left is about 19 minutes. I have a family event going on inside at 4 p.m., and so my wife will be ticked if I take too long in here. So pin-to-pin geodetic info, let's go over it one more time so we're all in the right position, and let's talk about Mule Canyon. Let's go back to, I'm double tapping my Milky Way button so that I can go back to May or April. Because when Kathy Hennehan, myself, and Jeff Peterson were out at Mule Canyon, hiking over by, we were hiking over there by Blanding. We had a really cool spot with the House on Fire ruin, but we didn't have a knowledge of whether or not we could see the Milky Way. And so hiking into House on Fire ruin. Is it this one? It looks like it's that one. I believe this is the rock that is House on Fire ruin. So I'm moving my pin over because you come down this road, this dirt road, and you park right here. Is it down here further? Oh, yeah. There's the actual pull out, and here's the Arch Canyon Road that we pulled down, and then we park where these cars are, and you hike up into the canyon. It's really only a mile hike to go in. It's very simple, and you come in all the way to this point. Ooh, that might be too far. It might have been one of these earlier spots. So let's pretend that does not look like it. I swear it's this one. That must be a mile hike in because it looks more like the rock that is above House on Fire ruin. So without going into Google right now, I'm making sure I'm verifying. Let's pretend like I'm correct, and this is the spot. I'm going to put myself down where I can see the House on Fire ruin on my left. I'm thinking I'm going to stand right out in front of it and get a really wide pano. Wide pano that features it and then hopefully features a Milky Way. And so let's see. At the point when the Milky Way becomes visible, what looks like around this rock point right here is right about here. This is when it first becomes visible. Well, let's move my pin-to-pin geodetic info. So this canyon wall, while it looks very simple, not very steep, not very tall, it actually is quite different. I mean, if you look, put my pin-to-pin info right there, that is a difference of 130 meters. So it's 300-foot drop-off right there between there and where I'm at in the canyon. I'm not in the lowest part of the canyon. I kind of came up a little bit on this hill to be next to the House on Fire ruin. So let's consider our direction where the Milky Way is. And so right along the line where the Milky Way is, and assuming that these are flat and this cliff edge is really what's going to block our view. What's going to go on for us? The Milky Way, it says, is at this point 12.8 degrees high, and this says it's 6 degrees high. So that's a good start. I could see it. This whole time. So when it's not blocked, right here it's being blocked. That, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, look at the Milky Way dots, and you see that one white line down one of the dots. That is the Milky Way core. And so I'm swinging that between the light gray line and the dark gray line. And that's what you guys are seeing. That's what I'm hoping you guys are having no problem seeing right here on the camera. Oh, I gotta move my mouse over here. In fact, I forgot. You guys can see my mouse point to things. So see this rock outcropping right there? I'm basically just figuring that over here at this point, that's being blocked. I'm assuming that. And then from this point on, it's already 12 degrees high, and this ridge across the way over here, this ridge right here, isn't that low. It's not that high. It's only 6 degrees, and the Milky Way is as high as 15.6. So I'm very optimistic that it could work. And so when's the good time for it to work? I'm thinking right around there, right up the canyon. So let's try some other pin-to-pin information. That's 8.2 and it's 20.6. Let's try in here. Okay, that's as low as 6. If I go into this rock, that is 9. So you can see how that gets a little higher than the point that I was showing over there. So if I went any further this direction, I'd start having a chance of it being blocked. But I mean, 9 is nothing compared to 22 degrees height. Because you can see down here, I forgot I could do this. Down here is the elevation, the current elevation of the Milky Way core based on where I've slid the timer. And since I know that this pin has gone down and I'm seeing the difference right here, 6.9 degrees difference from this point to this point, the elevation of the Milky Way is 9.3, so it is not going to be blocked. Well, what if I move my pin down into this canyon right here, and then put my geodetic pin right on this rock face right there, and I wanted to look right down at it. I could even see it there. This doesn't seem to have a problem with even that spot, although that says 34.5 degrees, and so it should be. Let me move it a little closer to my Milky Way line. Oh yeah, see? Now that it's closer, now that geodetic info is, the line is closer to where the Milky Way line is, it's being assessed by the PhotoPills app, and assessing the degree differences is telling me that I couldn't be down in that hole and see the Milky Way core. It'll get blocked because I put myself closer to the cliff. But when I'm up here on the rock next to the house on fire ruin, it doesn't have the same problem. No, because I'm already up higher. The difference between that pin and here is 19.6 degrees, and the elevation is 23.4, so it's just high enough. It's just high enough to be visible. So the geodetic, pin-to-pin geodetic info will give you confidence before you even go to a location where you need to adjust your position just to see the Milky Way core. And that's simply this guy up here, this square. Turn that guy on. It'll give you your azimuth, it'll give you your altitude difference between these two locations, and because of that degree, you can know whether or not it's being blocked, and PhotoPills will help you with the dotted line as long as your dotted line is nearby that line. So for instance, we move our pin back down here to the lowest point, move the geodetic pin on top of the line, it assesses, hey, you know what, I've gone dotted because this is going to be blocked. I'm at 23 elevation with the Milky Way core, 23 elevation here, and you have put it at 28 degrees. So it's 5 degrees now blocked from being visible. And so you get too close to that cliff edge, and then now you're being blocked. So House on Fire Ruin could work if this, in fact, is the right rock. And since it's been over 8 months since I've even looked at the map, I can't recognize that rock. So that's too bad. So that's pin-to-pin geodetic info. Hit me up with questions as you need them, guys. I just don't want to leave you guys hanging as I'm going through a lot of information here. We've got at least 24 of you on right now, so don't be shy. Pin-to-pin geodetic info. So if you wanted a quick refresher, actually you probably don't. Let's just go to the next section. Unless you guys say I won't do a refresher. So the find tool. The find tool is fantastic. It's something that I had no idea was even there. It's so hidden. It's terrible how hidden it is. Let's use a location like Silver Lake. Let me load. Planner has a way of doing plans and point of interest. I have many locations as a point of interest, and I guess I don't have the exact spot I'm thinking of, the Guardsman Pass. But nearby Guardsman Pass is Silver Lake. It's just a different canyon. So if I go up this canyon, no, it's this one. Guardsman Pass, you go all the way up it and you get to a place where you can go to Blood's Lake. Here's Guardsman Pass. And you hike down to Blood's Lake. And right through here is a point where we can stand next to the water and watch a moonrise or a sunrise. Let me get my pin to move. Come on. Sometimes you just need to hold completely still and your pin will work when it wasn't working before, because you end up moving your finger a little too much underneath you. So here in this time, we don't even have to worry about this date, because what I'm trying to say is I want to see the sunrise. I want to see the moon rise. Let's do moon. So what time does the moon rise in this location? It rises here. Actually, it rises during the day. It just happens to be on 4/16 near new moon, so it rises during the day. But let's figure out if we can actually see the moon rise in what you can't see right here. Let me use my mouse. This area right there, from this tree to these trees, is kind of a chalice shape. It's a V. And so I will just do let me give you an example. So imagine, let's get some green. Imagine a lake that is like in front of you, taking up this much space, and we have trees going up, these evergreen trees that are really big, and the ones in the distance are that same big, but this is a smaller version. And you kind of end up with this hills over here on the right and the tree lines giving you this chalice shape. And so right down, if you were to have the moon, rise right here or rise here, it would come right down the lake, and you can see it reflecting in the water going down the lake. And so this space that we're looking at here in Blood's Lake, it's really cool to try and get the moon right up that path. But when can you get it to come up that path? When will it be in that position? Well, here's the finder tool. I'm at this position in Blood's Lake. I'm saying I want to see something out there. Well, where do I want it to be? Moon at azimuth and elevation is what I want to pick. And let's say I want it to be, can I put my pin down? I want to figure out when it's over in that area. Well, how do I choose my azimuth? So my finder window, let me go back, cancel. Where I have my pin-to-pin geodetic info is so far away, I have to reset it so that I have this pin to use. Now I go into the find tool. My horizon pin or geodetic info pin is now back and accessible. See that dotted line in the blue? So I was telling you about this V shape that's kind of coming through the trees. It's coming through this tree, these trees, and the hill shape. And so kind of in this area, that's where we want it to be. So based on our pin and on this spot, we want the moon to show up. Moon at azimuth and elevation. Azimuth, let me draw that up and let you guys understand it. So let's do a new page. Azimuth is saying, here I am, and azimuth is like the hands on a clock. This direction is an azimuth degree, this direction is an azimuth degree, this direction. So basically, if I'm standing here looking out this direction with both my eyeballs, and I turn around to now look this direction with both my eyeballs, or I turn around and go this direction, I'm looking this direction. This is a really weird way to put it. Turning my head around. Let me just show you guys a camera on me. So if I'm looking straight out, this direction is my azimuth degree. Going that way, this way, turning around. This is my azimuth. That's my azimuth. My elevation is how much height I need to look up into the sky. Look up there, look over there. So azimuth, let's just say 110 degrees azimuth is right here, 18 degrees elevation. So if you see my hand, this is 34 degrees azimuth, 18 degrees elevation. That's the kind of thing it's talking about. So when it says it's going to give us the alt and the azimuth, it's giving us the elevation or altitude and azimuth. And so it's telling me here, from this pin to that pin has an altitude difference of 38 meters, where it's actually lower. Where that spot is lower than this spot. So that's great news. Will I ever see the moon in this area at that spot. How do I then find it? Back in here, let's just cancel this out. I have hit the finder button that's way down here. See this find button, magnifying glass and find? You hit that, it brings up this. It still remembers what I told it. Now what? Well, here's the part that I had no idea. I've been in here before and I'm like, I have no idea what this is talking to me about. I have no idea what it's saying. Aaron, I think you should give up photography and go to iPad doodling as your full-time job. I really have a career there. I think I could sell it to people for YouTube videos. I mean, I couldn't even draw an arrow at one point. I was like, oh, I can't even draw a nice looking arrow. So then Blood's like, looking out this direction, what do? I want to find out what this is telling me. What is it telling me? Moon at azimuth and elevation. Okay, now I get it. That direction, azimuth, is this direction, this red pin to the blue pin. Elevation, I don't really have a preference. I mean, I kind of know that this degree difference. Okay, got it. All right, well, that's the degree difference. Well, what now? Hit the magnifying glass in the top right. You'd have no freaking clue, but that's what it's saying is you hit the top right magnifying glass, and now it's going to show you the dates that the moon is going to be in that spot. It's like, oh, okay. So if I wanted a new moon, hey, look, there's orange. But if I wanted to have something that's a full moon, when's a full moon? This is close to a full moon right here. Oh, full moon, purple. So it says 12/22/18. I'm going to have a full moon that rises in that area. And it's showing me on the map right now, based on my pin, when that full moon will be right there. It's changed it to 5:45 p.m. It's changed it to 12/22/2018. And so 1 year from now, I'm going to have a full moon that I can put right down that path. That's awesome. So now because I hit find and I knew where I wanted to put it because I can see right here at Blood's Lake, I wanted it to be this direction. And then I hit find. Okay, sweet. Well, what's the date range? How did that work? Well, kind of have a choice of 5 years, the next 6 months. If I really want, I have like 1 week out here in this area. Can I even do it in this 1 week? And I hit find. There's no moon. So if, say, you're in a location in a campground, a place that you've never been before, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, I want to have the moon be over there. Does that even happen in this week that I'm here? It'll tell you right there. Boom. Blimey, I'm finally getting it. Thanks for all these videos. I'm learning more with each one. I'm so excited, D. I'm glad that you are. Here's the one that's going to blow your guys' mind is how simple it is. It sucked that I had no idea what this was. When Raphael Pons told me it, I was like, are you kidding me? I've been doing it the long way. I've been doing it the very, very long way. So here is this screen. The moon, elevation, azimuth. Awesome. Well, I kind of should have paid attention that there's an AR button down here. And even though I knew there's an AR button down there, I didn't know what that meant. So here, let me show you my infinity map. Oh, I don't want to have any actions. Here's my infinity picture. I'm looking northwest right now. Well, the thing I didn't know, where's the moon right now? Oh, it's not showing me anything about the moon. So I was like, how does this AR work? Why isn't it showing me anything? Oh, look, there's the moon. Hey, the moon down there. So how does this work? What is this plan? Well, let's pretend like between his face and the comic strip, just so you guys know, behind the scene, I worked at Disney Infinity. I made the crystal clear Lightning McQueen version that they had, and I helped them create some art assets for it. And so when this comic came out on Penny Arcade, it was talking about something that I did, and that was a huge milestone in my life. So I purchased their comic, and I had them printed out for me. So let's pretend like between his heads and these two panels, I want the moon to be there, and I have these really cool pinnacles. And I'm thinking, what if the moon was right between those pinnacles? Here's the thing I had no friggin' clue about. Inside this screen, if you tap, you're putting the moon down. You're actually placing the moon wherever you want. And so you tell it, literally, you're on location, you're looking the direction you want, and you want the moon to show up there. And you go, okay, will it show up ever right there? You hit done, and now you hit the search button. It's going to tell you, oh, if I ever want the moon to be there in the next, what, did I only have week still? I only had week. Let's change this to the next 5 years. Now we're talking. So between now, this date, October 3rd, 2017, and October 2nd, 2022, when does the moon show up there? It gives me every single day in the next 6 years that the moon will be in that position. But as you can see on the right column, this is showing me what actual phase it will be in. Oh, look, a full moon is purple. So if I want, for my position, let's pretend like this is where my pin is. It's saying that it's this direction. Because I told it that I'm standing right there. And so, oh, I'm looking west at that degree. If I want the moon there, April 18th, 2019 at 5:41 a.m., that's when the moon will be there. Isn't that awesome? So pretend, let's see. Let's pretend that we are out here on Antelope Island. And this is right next to the Great Salt Lake. And I'm looking out over the valley, and I can see right here is a really cool mountain peak, and I want to have the moon show up there. Hit the pin to pin geodetic info, move my black pin. I'm going to put it right on top of this mountain peak. Because if I move my pin to pin geodetic info right there and then go into the find, it knows that's the horizon I want. I hit the find button, the bottom left corner, that magnifying glass, and find. I hit that. It opens it up for me. See how it's already taken that pin to pin geodetic info and assigned it to that spot on the horizon. And now I'm sitting there with 5 years, 6 years of a range, and I want it to be there. I hit magnifying glass. Boom. Those are the dates in the future. The ones that are grayed out are the ones in the past. The ones in the future are all of these down here. Ah, yeah, golden hour full moon. That's even cooler. I can get kind of a golden hour full moon right over that spot, standing in this spot. That's when it will be visible. Because Antelope Island, I'm on top of this little hill, and then I'm looking at the top of this mountain. It'll be a lot different outcome if I put my pin down the middle of Centerville or something. So it depends on where you put these two pins. The best thing ever is if you're on location and you just tap it. Just tap where you're going to go. Let me let you guys see me real quick. Default. You can hear me through the computer right now. Silent tutorial. Taserface. And that name shall ever be known. Taserface. Yeti. Let's see if it's coming back. Yeti. Hey, I think I'm back. And also with the Yeti. It looks like I'm even back with the Yeti microphone. I have no idea where it went there. That's a bummer. Maybe it's just it knew that I had gone past 4 o'clock and my computer is conspiring with my wife to have it just turn off and say, hey, shut up, stop your tutorial. This is a waste of everyone's time. So there we go. Hey guys, new, yes, new, it's working. But now, yeah, darn it. I'm sorry that sound disappeared. I look up here to see if there's any questions and I see that sound from everybody. I am sorry that I didn't have Rob in my ear to have him warn me that that happened, but hopefully you guys saw that recap. Just remember, go out here in Planner. You can't use, oh, switch over the screen. You can't use any of the pills. It's not inside these pills. It's not in here. It's only in Planner. Bottom left, find. Click on that. Choose sun at azimuth and elevation or moon at azimuth and elevation. And from inside here, on location, wherever you think is cool, hit the AR button, plop down your position where you want that moon. Waiting for a valid heading. I want that moon to be here. And now, oh, it's calibrating. Cancel out of that. We don't need any calibration right now. Just want to show you that awesomeness. Go to your family obligations now, Chicken says. You're right, man. You're right. But I owe you guys, I think, one more. So where are we at? Let's go to, there's my awesome drawings. Spot stars. Spot stars will be quick and we'll end it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Blue Yeti, literally. Yeah, sometimes you can't find the Yeti. So maybe that's a bad name for a mic. Sometimes you can't find the mic. So inside PhotoPills, there's a feature called Spot Stars. I like it. It's my favorite thing, kind of. Honestly, when I got to 7, there's so many little tips on the inside of every one of these that my favorite things I have shown you by just virtue of showing you the other tips. But to give you one more place that you can go, this is the place that will teach you the 500 rule and the MPF rule. And Spot Stars is awesome. So let's see, I'm going to choose a camera that Rob has, that he's lucky. I think they've recently added it. Nikon. Let's go to the Nikon D850. Rob's getting the D850 someday. So what happens here is because I've chosen the Nikon D850, I can see the specific rule based on focal length and my aperture. So let's say I have my standard camera on 15 to 30. I'm out at 15 millimeters, so good. 15 millimeters, f2.8, and my accuracy is a default accuracy where you can see some star trails. But if I want to have accurate, really nice spot stars, like really nice tight single dots, what are the seconds I'm supposed to have? See, if I go to default, it says down here MPF rule, 14 seconds, max shutter. 500 rule, 33 seconds, max shutter. If I go to accurate, it still has the 500 rule at 33 seconds, but the NPF rule changed to 7 seconds. Now, NPF rule, it's math. It's a lot of math. I'm not good at math, but I will tell you that it takes into account your new modern day sensor size and your pixel shift ratio and other numbers and factors, and that gives you a far more accurate information on whether or not, okay, if I have 7 seconds at 15 millimeter on a Nikon D850, will I have blur? Will I have some star trailing? No, 7 seconds is good. If I'm at 15 seconds, I can have some star trailing because I'm going too long. So in the Spot Stars pill, right here on the bottom line or in somewhere scroll down on your mobile phone, you can pick your camera. Say you have the camera model that I have, Canon 6D. Go there, EOS 6D, I Mark 1. On a 15 millimeter f2.8 camera on 15 to 30, I want no star trailing whatsoever, so I keep it at accurate. The MPF rule says I can only go to 9 seconds. I'm at 13 seconds and I see a little bit of star trailing, but I'm okay with 13 seconds. It's recommending that I do it to 9 seconds to really maximize my star sharpness. And so when you see the 500 rule, 400 rule, 600 rule, all of those are based on a 35 millimeter camera and older sensors, not the current sensor that we have today. And so when you have a modern day camera, depending on your camera's pixel shift ratio and all sorts of information, when I was choosing, do you guys see that right there? It says sensor is 36.0, 24.0, and it has a 20.7 megapixel. Rob's camera, the Nikon D850, has a sensor that's 35.9, 23.9, and it has a 46 megapixel sensor. So there are differences based on that. The same exact lens has a 9 second and a 33 second for an EOS. I go to the Nikon D850, it's 7 seconds and 33 seconds. The exact same lens. If we were to ship, borrow lenses, he would have to take up a couple seconds more than I do to keep sharpness on his D850. The 500 rule doesn't change because 500 rule takes into account your focal length and divides that. So it's like 500 divided by your focal length is 33 point seconds, or 33 point something something something. And so if you want to make your stars absolutely sharp and you know that your focus isn't the problem and that it's just about star trailing, here's where you can take into account, using PhotoPills, your exact camera body and get an idea with the MPF rule and not have to do all that math. So this is awesome. I love PhotoPills, guys. I don't work for PhotoPills. I do happen to have a PhotoPills sticker right here, and I do happen to have PhotoPills app, and I've been loving it. And then Raphael contacted us, and we've been able to hang out with him on a workshop, and so I feel like I'm part of his family now. But I'm not biased when I say I love it. Okay, let me say this. I'm incredibly biased when I say I love it, but I'm not paid to be biased. I haven't been asked to be biased. It's just happened because I just love the app so much. I tried Planet, and everything that's different in Planet versus PhotoPills, I don't like. And it's not because it's Planet's fault. It's just because this was my first one. This is where I started. So I love PhotoPills, guys. I just friggin' love it. I can't get over it. There's so much more to teach you. This stuff with pin-to-pin geodetic info and how it can apply into finding out where the moon and the sun is in a specific spot, because you want to have that sun go right between something awesome. It's so powerful. You can do that. It's so powerful. So hopefully you guys got something from that. Watch the replay again. See what I was doing. I hope that the audio was out for like 1 minute, maybe 2. Gosh, I hope it wasn't too long. Sorry about that. But thank you, Rob, for moderating, getting rid of that one potential ad. I have no idea what he had there with the emojis. You guys are awesome. Thanks for following. Thanks for commenting. Really appreciate it. We'll see you guys later. There's a new podcast coming out tonight with Serena Ho. And we also have another video coming out tomorrow from James Kelly, our now 3rd member of Photog Adventures. So thanks, guys. Rob, you're part of Photog Adventures too. We have 6 admins that are part of Photog Adventures plus now James. So I should say it that way. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later. Going inside to celebrate Christmas with my wife's family. So have a good one. See you, chicken. Thanks, man. Later, guys. I'm hitting the stop stream, and now